So as we start day 2 of completing the square, we're going to start by taking a review back to yesterday quick on the note sheet that we started. Just going over some of the basics of completing the square. And I'm going to be giving you a little helpful hint sheet here in a little bit to help remind you of some of the things as well. So our big deal when we're completing the square. First, I always want to make sure there's no number in front of x squared, because if there is, I got to divide through by that. But I notice in both of these there's not. So my next job is to get the x's alone on one side. So if that's already the case, great. If it's not the case yet, we'll go ahead and get those out of there. But as we do, we're going to go ahead and add in the next piece to the puzzle here, which is putting a blank on each side once we have the x's alone. That blank is going to be filled by some side work here. Now, some of you already started to talk to me yesterday. Well, I know how to do it. I can do it in my head. Can I do it in my head without the side work? You could. But otherwise, I'm going to take my b term, the number that's in front of x. I'm going to divide it by 2. And then I'm going to square it. Critical that I use parentheses. You will never get a negative for this step if you've done it correctly. So whatever that number is, in this case it's 16, is going to be added to both sides. Then we work on turning our left side into what's called a binomial square. Now when we're doing a binomial square, basically that's just going to be take half of your b. Okay, either from here or just looking at that. And that's going to be your binomial squared. Now, I had a couple people ask a little bit later in the day yesterday, well, wait a minute though. So going from here to here, where'd the 8x go? Did it like disappear? No. Because if I took my x minus 4 squared, which means there's 2 of them, and I FOILed that out, it's still there. It's just in a more condensed format with the binomial square. Okay, so if that was a concern, hopefully we put that at ease. And now to finish it, I don't want to distribute, I don't want to FOIL it back out, anything like that. To get rid of the squared, we're going to square root. Remembering that there's 2 answers, so this is the step where I do plus minus once I do the square root. And if I'm fortunate enough that I get a perfect square, that's great. So I add my 4 over, and I can't say this enough. Remember, that plus minus is like a wall. But this was our one exception, because normally we're going to get a radical on that right side, and this is going to be the end. But if it is just a plain old number, if everything broke down really clean, I can go ahead and simplify this and actually do the 4 plus 2 and the 4 minus 2 and get my answer. So just something to keep in mind as you're doing this. Okay? Sometimes you can actually get to the 2 answers. Most of the time we're just going to leave it in plus minus form. And actually to let you see that, I'm just looking at this one to see if that's going to be the case here. Yes. So on our second review one, x's are already alone. Well, that's nice. So I can go straight to my blank. So we go here again, whether you do the side work or whether you're using your noggin here. B divided by 2. Square it. And that's my number going to both sides. So once I complete my square, do my binomial square, which again is just taking half your b value, including the sign. And now it should be down to the solving by square roots that we just got done with a little earlier in the week. So the process is really, it's the same for every one of these. Now here though, ooh, 40. Wait a minute. 40, 40, 40, 40. Look through my squares here to see if there's something that will divide into 40 that will break down. Now again, like here, if I tried 8 and 5, 8 and 5 don't help me because 8 and 5 aren't perfect squares. So it's got to be something that has a perfect square with it for it to help me. 2 square root of 10. And then my last step is to minus my 7, and this is what most of our answers when we do these are going to look like. Okay. I can't combine these. This has a radical and this doesn't. They're not like terms. So that's as far as I can go. So sometimes I might not even be able to break down the radical. It just depends when I get to that part. Okay? So that was yesterday. That was the solving by completing the square, which works for any quadratic. So the little piece we're going to add to that today, and it's not going to change our steps very much at all, is writing these in vertex form. Now we've seen this before. Okay, we were graphing these before. And then what's the vertex? So here's the only change. We're not going to worry, well, do we want to do that? Might that make it easier? Actually, I think for some of you it would make it easier. Let's try this. So we talked before about having our x's alone. So let's say we continue to go that way. This might burn me later, but I'm going to try it anyway. So you're like, okay, I got my x's alone. Now just like before, same exact thing. One blank on each side. And my side work is exactly the same. Take my b term, the number in front of x, divide it by 2, and square it. So over here, we've got that set. Over here, b, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And I start to notice this is really close to being done. Because I look at this and I'm like, okay, I got that part. Oh, I just got to get y by itself. And I'm in vertex form. And again, when I go to actually tell what the vertex is, here's the one thing that I got to be cautious of. Okay? Opposite of h, so opposite of the value inside the parentheses. But the plus k means whatever this is, value on the outside, it stays. Don't switch that one. That's going to be exactly what it was. And so really with all of these, that's all we're going to be doing. So I'm not going to go totally crazy here. I think I'm going to do 4 and 5. And then we'll see if we want to do 6 or if we're feeling like, no, let's just get on with this. So all right, let's keep rolling here. X is alone. If I'd have been smart here, I'd have left room over here for my blank, but I didn't, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to put another line in here for me to do that. Now I do my stuff. B divided by 2. Square it. Simplify things down. So on the left, it's just combining the negative 8 and the 4. On the right, it's getting to my binomial of a square. Either from here or just saying it's this number divided by 2. And now to get it into vertex form, I just need y alone. My vertex is opposite of H and K. So it really is, it's basically the same thing, except there's even less work because I'm not necessarily having to break down a radical or do anything fancy like that. I'm just trying to find my vertex, and I'm in pretty good shape. So, okay, 5, and then I'm going to get out of the way, at least as far as video work goes here. So we'll add our 3 over. There is a way to do this without moving the 3, but I just think, I did it again. I just think this is going to be the most straightforward way. I know some of you like, as creatures of habit, being able to do the same thing and not have to make a lot of adjustments. So this is our easiest way to do that. So X is alone, add my blank, divide my B by 2 and square it. Yes, the numbers can get a little funky at times. Nothing wrong with that. Half of 12 is 6. And get my Y alone. You're like, this can't be right. We never have a vertex of negative 39. Well, it's possible, though. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. So far we've looked at solving, where we're doing some breakdown. We've done vertex form. If we were looking to graph a quadratic, getting into that shape. And then the next time we get together, we will be taking a peek at circles. But for now, we're just going to be working on the worksheet with this. The front is solving. The back is vertex form. And we'll leave it at that.